it comes to budgeting for the VA, everyone always shifts to disability because, especially on YouTube, that's a higher topic. Relatively speaking, in the budget, disability is like way down here. Healthcare is billions and billions and billions of dollars. Seriously, it's hundreds of billions, almost 400 billion to be exact. And so when it comes to veteran healthcare, the VA's press conference, the last one that Secretary McDonough did, which was a few days ago, he made a statement talking about, we're going to deliver veteran healthcare. That's not the issue at hand. The issue at hand is, how does that look like? Is it going to be doubling down on community care, which is complete the Mission Act? That was submitted on the floor in HVAC, or is it going to be, hey, no more community care? Let's lead to on the VHA side of the house. And I can tell you right now, just from understanding President Trump's previous VA term there, and then Doug Collins' stance on community care, it's probably looking towards community care. And the VA secretary made a statement, and I kind of want your thoughts on this. He said that, we can't do both. So we're going to have to take or give. And knowing that we're probably leaning on the community care side, the VA secretary said, hey, does that mean that we get rid of primary care? Does that mean that we get rid of specialties? Or does it mean that we keep specialties completely, primary care, and we only have the burn pit specialties, the neurologist for TBI, really niche things that are hard to find? What does that look like? And that is I think one thing's for sure, veteran healthcare is going to see major changes probably within the next year, 2 years max. I think it's safe to say 2 years because you have the cycle there. So,
yeah, I agree. So within the next 2 years, sure, major changes. What are we looking at here? The reality is that the doctors in which you're talking about for healthcare aren't paid what they could make in the civilian sector. So that is the big problem, right? If you're running short on doctors, well, then what happens? Then you have backlog. What happens when you have backlog? You have veterans that can't be seen within a certain time frame, which then forces them to utilize community care. Then once you start using community care, then what? Then you're like, well, wait a minute. This is working for me. I don't want to go back because I remember it sucked before. So I think that the problem is with a lot of this stuff, Clay, is that people neglect to focus on the root cause of the problems. And if the VA acted as though they had competition and the federal government allowed for appropriate wages as in comparison to the civilian sector, and created an environment that focused on veterans as a customer who has a choice, we wouldn't be in this situation. Because the VA would be just flourishing, and we'd be like, oh my God, this is great. You're going in there and you're being taken care of, and everybody loves you and whatever. So, but that's not the reality. The reality is that everybody wants their cake and eat it too. Now, the VA secretary's quote, "You can't have it both." I disagree. I think that there's a hybrid version here, and I would challenge Doug Collins on this. I'm all about options. Okay. I'm all for community care. Why? Because it is absolutely impossible to have VA care for every single veteran across this nation in a substantial way. It's not cost effective. Now, in the very dense populated areas, sure, that's easy, because even if the veteran population does this, you're still okay. Excuse me. So even when the veteran population moves, there's still going to be enough veterans there to allow the VA to function. But when you get into the smaller populated areas, you're going to run into supply and demand issues. And therefore, you're going to have to implement things like community care to bridge the gap. And that's why the Mission Act happened the first time, was they were trying to bridge the gap. This wasn't a screw over veterans act. This was absolutely, let's make sure veterans get seen. Don't care who it's from. Ugh, dying, man. So with that though, Clay, I think that the important piece is that I think that there's a hybrid version I think that we could see shared facilities between the government and civilian sector medical providers. And, I think that we can also see that at a civilian provider's building or even a VA building, right? Where we have civilian providers in there providing to civilians. So I could see that, and I could see some more DoD partnerships as well between the VA and the DoD, bringing resources together for medical and pharmacy and all that good stuff. Your thoughts, Clay?